Alright guys, welcome back to our little Maya lecture. This time it's Maya 104, Rigging Basics 2. And today's course will be a little bit different than the others because I always find it very hard to explain rigging in theory with slides, etc. So we are just going to jump right into Maya and I'll explain it, I show you how it works right away. So let's go. So this is the starter scene. By the way, you can download that one right from the Moodle course inside the lecture 4. But of course, feel free to use your own model. And when you open up the scene, it should look like that. You have your very familiar character, and we have a very basic rig at the moment, which is, as you can already see, not connected to the body right where we left off. Right at the moment, there are 3 controls which we are going to focus. We are going to focus on just for the right leg at the moment, and the controls are not yet inside of the skeleton structure. And what we are going to do now is we are going to discover. No, I don't want to save. We're going to discover 2 ways how to connect your controls to your skeleton in order to have the controls control or move the actual bones or joints. As I said, there are 2 methods. One is already explained in the last part of the last video, so I'm just going to explain it very quickly for now. As we can see here, for a knee joint, for example, we have that control, we have the group, and we have the control curve. And of course, the group we can move around everywhere, and the control shouldn't be touched except you want to animate the model later on. So the easiest way to get this control to be controlling the skeleton is if we take a look at the joint chain. And what we would like to do is to have that knee joint as a parent, as a child of that control, and the group as a child of that joint. And so that's what we are going to do. If we take a look at the hierarchy, we have the hip, we have the knee, which we are going to unparent by pressing Shift P. Then we are going to, and I'm just dragging at the moment, we are dragging that knee joint onto the knee control, and then we take the knee group and put it right beneath the hip joint. And now you can see this nice visual interpretation of Maya of the joint is broken, but don't you worry, it's still there, it's just not shown because, or it's not visible, because there is now an element right in the middle, which is of course the group and the control curve, which confuses Maya, so it doesn't show you that nice little triangular line or joint structure. But don't you worry, it's just a bug, a Maya bug, and it's there anyway. And now we can take this control, move it, and the actual leg moves with it. And we could, in theory, take this control up here, and the leg would move as well. So this is a fairly easy method, and you can go for it if you'd like to. I'm going to show you a different method, however, which seems a little bit more complicated first, but it's the more professional alternative, I would say, and is widely used across in the industry because it's very structured and you have basically 2 separate systems, a separate skeleton and a separate control system. But as I said, I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to unparent this, so it's all in basically in the start position, or at the start position. Oops. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to press Shift P. Now it works. And as you can see, it actually created a transform node right beneath the control node. Don't you worry, Maya does it automatically. It is supposed to be there, and you can actually not delete it because Maya will recreate it for you. And just don't worry, because yeah, it has its purpose, because Maya cannot interpret that curve as a parent. It has to create a different child object for the joint to be connected. It's all node-based stuff. You don't need to know it, but if a transform node gets created, don't worry. But I'm going to delete that because we don't need that in that scenario right now. Okay. In order for the different approach to work, we have to arrange all the controls in the exact same structure as the bone structure is well arranged. So we have our hip, and beneath that hip is the knee, and the knee we are going to make the knee a child of hip control, and we're going to make the foot group a child of the knee control, like that. And then basically we could already move those controls, and as you can see, all would move accordingly. There is a neat little thing in Maya which is called constraints, which is basically a node-based way for Maya to connect things to each other. And there's something which is called a parent constraint. And this parent constraint does exactly that. Parents things onto each other without actually parenting them. So if we, in order to explain this, we have to select the child object first, the parent object first, and then the child object. It's exactly the opposite as the normal parenting thing, because Maya is weird. So first the child, and then the parent, then the child, like so. And then we go to constraint. And here we can already see parent constraint. We go to the option box. We are going to select maintain offset. Click add. And then we can see Maya has created a constraint which looks like that, underneath, which is parented underneath the hip. And this node basically says that this control node now is a parent of that bone or this joint without actually being a parent. So now we can like that, and it moves accordingly. And we can do that for the others as well. Select that one, click parent constraint, that one, and click parent constraint. And now everything should work fine. And as you can see, it does. And as you can see, it's way cleaner than the other method. We still have our visual representation of the bone. We have all our controls in a different hierarchy, and all is controlled via those constraints which are arranged here. Okay, let's say we would like to animate our character. And you can see there's a problem, because the foot should always be at the ground position. So if we would like to have this character walk, we would bend the knee, I don't know, like this, like so. And then in the next frame, we would like to have the leg further back. But the foot position, of course, should stay the same, but it wouldn't with this FK approach. And to demonstrate how another approach would work, I have just loaded in the model that I used, or that I rigged for our bachelor project, which looks like that. Don't you worry, it's fairly complicated, but we are not going to cover that. Instead, we are just going to take a look at the IK control, which is in the foot, and that basically controls the leg from a different perspective, I would say. So if we select that control right here, which is the foot, and move it, we can see that the whole leg moves and bends correctly. And that, of course, wouldn't work here, because if we would do so, we would have to rotate all the controls right here, which is very inconvenient and wouldn't work so great. Same is actually for the arms. So let's say you want your hand to be holding something, and or touching or holding onto a table, I don't know, and the body moves, but the hand needs to be holding onto that table. You can actually create a switch between those two systems. This one is called the the FK system, and this one is the IK system. IK stands for inverse kinematics. And if I take a look at this hand, for example, we can see that inside that control, or that one, we have an FK-IK blend, and if I turn that on, we can see that that turns orange and is now an FK hand. I don't know. The character could now be holding onto a table, and if we would move the character, the hand should be steady. Same, of course, for the legs. The legs would be in the correct place as well. So you can see here, we are not creating a switch because that would be too complicated. Instead, we are just going to focus on how to create an IK, which we are going to do for the leg. It's a fairly easy process. I'm just going to hide this model again. By the way, you can take a look at it if you're interested how it works. It's right in the scene file. It's called Emily Rig System, and it's a hidden object. So if we take a look at the rigging shelf right here, we have next to the bone a thing which is like this bone, but there's a little line on it. It's the third symbol from the left. Click on it, and first we are going to select the bone which is sort of the root for this. In this case, it's the hip, and then we are going to select the bone which acts as the I'd say, yeah, the point which is steady, or which is at the ground as this foot, and always should be on the ground. So we're going to select this one, and then Maya creates this for us, which is a handle. And if we select that, it just flips around like it's crazy. That's because there is at the moment a problem, because we still have those controls connected to the leg. And Maya at the moment tries to have that knee where the knee is, and knee controllers, and the foot where the foot controllers, but still wants to help us with that IK. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that parent constraint from the knee, and I'm going to select the parent constraint from the foot. And now it should work. By the way, if it is like this, and the knee bends in an awkward position, you can actually, if you take a look at it, and you see it's not, I forgot to orient the joints, which gives us the opportunity to look at the next feature, which is if I just going to rotate it like so. I don't know how the leg would normally rotate, how the knee would normally bend. I can select those joints and set the preferred angle by just pressing the right mouse button, set preferred angle, and then the IK would move correctly. Okay guys, my Maya just crashed, so here I am again. in this scenario, we wouldn't need that middle control. So I'm just going to use the foot control, which we can parent to the IK handle, which is this little thing. Or you can just select the IK handle right here. And we're going to do the same thing, which is when we go into the rigging tab, constraint, parent, and then we can move that control and the knee would bend. Let's say our skeleton is okay, let's say our skeleton is completely finished and we now want to okay, let's say our skeleton is completely finished and we are now going to combine that skeleton to the actual person or to the actual character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the bones, which are normally, if you select the structure, well, I just have to select the root joint, and then I select the character, the mesh, and if I then inside of the rigging tab go to skin, bind skin, and to the little option box, you can the first thing you can set is whether you want to have the whole joint hierarchy of the selected or underneath the selected joint, or if you want just the selected joints. Bind method, we are just going to leave that all as default and click apply. And what you can now see is that if I move the bones, the character moves with it. But as you can also see, it's not all very perfect. Yeah, that definitely shouldn't look like that. If you want to change how Maya interprets those well, areas which are basically well, combined or parented to some joints, you can select the mesh, go into the rigging tab, and double click on that symbol, which opens up the skin weight menu. Or you can go into skin, and there you can also go under paint skin weights, which does the same thing. But if you click here, this tool settings opens up directly, which is very handy. And then you have a little brush, and with that brush you can paint the actual weights or how much influence a joint should have on your mesh, on your selected vertices. So if, for example, I would like to have, if I take a look at that hand, I don't want the rest of the arm to be moved alongside the hand. So double click on that, select the correct joint, which would be, oops. That's what you get when you're not naming your joints correctly. Okay, here we go. It's joint 7. Okay, and just going to decrease by pressing B and increase the brush size by pressing B as well, and just clicking the left mouse button. Clicking and dragging the left mouse button, we can change the opacity and we can change the value, and I don't have to select to explain all the features because they are very much self-explanatory. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select 0 value because we don't want to have any value on that arm. All the white things are completely 100% assigned to that bone, and all the things which are black are not assigned to that bone. You can also activate the color ramp, which displays it all in very fancy colors, but I'm going for black and white for now. And then you can actually paint on your model, and you can see that something moves because the hand is bended at the moment or rotated. Here you go. You can just fiddle around with it a bit. There are a few other things that are very handy. You can lock your joints. If you have the perfect skin weight on the hand, you can lock the skin weight on the hand and have to, so you don't have the chance to destroy it by accident, because if I would select another joint, for example that one, and I would select the hand when it's not unlocked and add some value here, you can see that it would now be missing, of course, inside of the hand joint skin weighting, because it is of course been taken over by the arm. So yeah, of course this doesn't have to have any value, so I'm just going to paint it black. Okay, so there you have it. That's how you would connect a skeleton to a mesh.